What's up, Call of Duty fans? I'm gonna get situated here. IHOLDSHIFT coming back with you guys with the week 2 full recap. Well, mostly just for day 4. I've already done all the other days, so there's no need to go through them all again, right? Well, maybe there is if you missed them, but you can go back and watch them if you want to catch up. Of course, I do these recaps on the daily is what I think I'm going to do. I think some of you guys were kind of wondering if I was going to do them, every other day or every day. I think I'm going to shoot to try to do them every single day just because it kind of helps me stay on top of making sure my graphics stay up to date and that I don't slack at all. I got to keep myself responsible for you guys so that way you can also be responsible for watching or something of the nature. So if you like this kind of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to get notifications when these videos do pop. But let's dig into it. These were what the standings looked like going into today. Of course, a lot of expectations. The biggest one was the fact that Gen.G was up top and Midnight was slipping this week, having lost 2 of their 3 games so far. So would they go completely winless in week 2 after going flawless in week 1? That would be yet to be determined. And then beyond that, we also had Evil Geniuses again after that loss to Luminosity on Tuesday, looking to get their first win. They would only have one more chance to do it. So we'll see what happens as we go through taking a look at Thursday. Starting things off, Red Reserve and UYU. If you remember from the video yesterday, did a little bit of a head-to-head matchup on these teams. They sit right next to each other in my power rankings. I had UYU just narrowly above. And based on kind of the stats and how they were playing with, Methods not playing super great on Wednesday, but still pulling out a win against Reciprocity, I had a feeling that they would show up and actually perform to the fullest of standards. Well, it was a close set. All right, I'll say that much. I gotta just, that was my pick for the day. So my prediction for the day was that UYU would take on Red Reserve and they'd be able to take them down. I think I said it was going to be 3-1 or 3-2. It would end up being a 3-0 in favor of Red Reserve, but goodness, these maps were so close. The hard point was 250 to 205. The Search and Destroy went to round 11, 6-5 for Red, and the Control would go all the way to round 5. And here's the biggest thing about UYU in my book as we move forward. This is a team that was struggling immensely on Search and Destroy, the second worst in Division A outside of Evil Geniuses, who had not won a Search and Destroy yet. UYU going in this week was also winless, but that would change this week as they found themselves a win versus Evil Geniuses, and then they would split the difference of the Search and Destroys against Reciprocity. This one in particular, it went all the way 5-6, and they've been doing better. They've been getting better at the Search and Destroy, but they're not quite there yet, obviously. But that being said, Red Reserve played a really handed set, so you can't really take anything away from them. The Control is also a 3-2, so a very close set there. Even though it reads as a 3-0, my prediction wasn't super far off. All it took was a couple more rounds to go, or one more hard point, or a couple more rounds to go in favor of UYU. It very well could have been the other way around. These two teams very evenly matched. I definitely have expectations for Red Reserve to play more consistently, but UYU, this is not a team that you can sleep on in the future, so make sure you keep that in mind as they try to improve over the next couple of weeks. Now you go into Gen.G and Midnight. Should have been a good one. At least at the beginning of the week, we said this was the match of the week. It would be a good one, mind you, but it wasn't for the right reasons. Gen.G, if you remember the storyline that's been building over the last couple of weeks, this is a team that will always lose their first hardpoint, or so far every time but once they've lost their first hardpoint, and then they'll 3-1 in total. They'll get a 3-0 sweep at the end of it, with a couple of exceptions here or there. But Gen.G, they would start things off with that loss, 250 to 123. Very convincing for Midnight. And the biggest thing with Gen.G is the fact that they are flawless on Search and Destroy. And it's not just that they're flawless, it's that they're doing it at an incredible rate. Their averages, they only give up an average of 2.4 rounds on Search. Of course, the being 8-0 in Search, they average 6 rounds every time they play it. But these guys are good, and it's not just on one certain map. Yes, they play a lot of gridlock, but it's all across the board. Their frequencies look good. Their payload has also looked good. We have yet to see them on Arsenal or Hacienda, but goodness gracious, this team is a monster, and they would 6-1 there, and then the Control would be very close. Midnight narrowly inching that one out, and then again, Midnight on Respawn just too strong. Looks like they've kind of figured out some of their woes from the last 2 days and turned them into woes of success. I will never say that again. I apologize. I don't blame you if you pause the video right there and try to regain yourself. But it would be Midnight taking this one 3-1, so no undefeated teams will be finishing off Division A throughout the first 2 weeks. Then we have Evil Geniuses and Reciprocity. On paper, Reciprocity should have done well here, but again, if you've been following along, Reciprocity has looked very inconsistent, kind of like their counterparts in EU with Red Reserve, at least the EU team. So, Reciprocity, you've got to win this game. You can't lose it to Evil Geniuses, because you just need to establish yourself as making sure you finish off this first set of games in this week, going 3-4. You don't want to go 2-5. I'll tell you that much. Evil Geniuses on the flip hand side, they've been looking better. Their hardpoint has been good. We did note that in our video yesterday, but obviously they struggle immensely on search and destroy, and their control has been less than stellar. It would go 250 to 224. Evil Geniuses able to come back after Reciprocity held like a 110-point lead. How do they keep throwing 100+ point leads on hardpoint? You can't do that if you're Reciprocity. They would bounce back with a full 6-0 on the search and destroy. Goodness, Evil Geniuses, what are you doing? And then the control, 3-0 for Evil Geniuses, and then a 250 to 126. EG, they find themselves their first set win. Reciprocity left reeling on the back end of that. My whole opinion on it, Dylan needs to get called up. You can't let him sit in your substitute role. You got to make a change, I think, come March, whether that be for either Zed or Dens. But I think you need to sub one of the two of them out for Dylan, who I think is just generally just a better player up front with the SOG. You need to utilize that. He's one of the best SOG players in the game. Sorry about the guys that moved to Vegas, but you got to do what's best for your team as far as performance goes. 2-5 is not good. You're one step away from being in last in the division, and you just lost to the team that is last in the division. So after they beat Midnight, it just was all kind of downhill. They lose the UYU, and then they get kind of smoked here from Evil Geniuses. Reciprocity, lots of question marks there. Also, you can't let Exotic do what he did. He can't get 3 kills while switching weapons mid-slide on you. That just can't happen. You got a gun better than that. Let's jump to our last game of the day, Luminosity and OpTic Gaming. And again, my bold prediction was that Luminosity could potentially take this set based on how they've played this week. Again, you go back up to Monday, they played Gen.G in a very close 5-game set. And then on Tuesday, they had the Donut Bowl, where both teams were going in at 0-4. They would beat Evil Geniuses also in 5, and then they 3-0'd Midnight. Again, just random things happening, but you can't take it away from Luminosity. Yesterday, on Wednesday, everybody fragged out, was looking good with their gun skill. Exactly what you want to see for everyone to kind of just, again, get that team mindset going, trust your teammates. They would start very slow in this one. OpTic came out the gate and put me in a rough spot because it was looking like it was going to be a full OpTic show, but again, Luminosity so good at control, they're able to come back and smoke the gridlock control, 3-1 there, and then they would actually take the reverse sweep, and they would beat OpTic Gaming in 5, a 3-2 scoreline. The last search and destroy was, woo, it was nuts. Went all the way to round 11, some score streaks are almost beefed. OpTic tried to come back and win 3 rounds straight, wouldn't quite happen though. So Luminosity would finish things off. So we have to, of course, go back over to the standings and see what they look like as we culminate Division A's first go at one another. Gen.G will still stay up top. They're sitting at a 6-1 scoreline, 19-11 in the maps. Not the greatest, but again, when you throw every single hard point, or his first hard point, you are feeding losses away there. Midnight 5-2 would be able to reprieve what could have been a 4-3 week, which had been a big yikes for me. They're still 17-9 in maps. OpTic Gaming, pretty salvageable, I would say, for the first 2 weeks. Again, not having Dashy there and playing with Zuma, you know, obviously playing a role that was already established from the players that are still there with obviously Scump and TJ. So when you take a look at that, 4-3, not the worst case scenario ever. They've shown moments of brilliance even with Zuma. So you think that once you get Dashy back in the picture, this team will still be extremely strong and they probably won't have too many worries. Just comes down to making sure their synergy is still there and they're able to keep fragging out. Red Reserve also at 4-3, and it has been noted, at least on the official CWL standings, that it will be head-to-head tiebreakers that establish placement. So OpTic, having beat Red previously, will be up on top, a 16-10 map loss ratio for Red. UYU at 3-4, as well as Luminosity. Goodness, they went 3-1 this week. And they almost went 4-0 if they were to have secured things against Gen.G. That would have been insane, but they will still sit at 3-4, almost even in maps. A very good week for Luminosity, but it doesn't come without a lot of concern still. A lot of moments where big question marks are just funneling around my head. Reciprocity, 2-5. Yikes, that's not what you want to see, having lost to Evil Geniuses at the bottom at just that 1-6. And, you know, I think if you're Evil Geniuses, you want another week. I think you would have loved to have seen a week 3. If you're Reciprocity, you're saying, thank God we're done playing until Fort Worth, because you've got some stuff to figure out. But Evil Geniuses, I'm sure they would have liked to ride this momentum off of that win against Reciprocity a little bit further on. And again, they had a close set versus Luminosity, and they've looked pretty decent on their hardpoint. Even the one on Monday against UYU looked pretty solid for them. I think they held them like 38 points is what I saw. So Division A will wrap up. We do have Division B starting up next week on Monday. I'm excited for that. I think Division B generally is a little bit more competitive as far as when you saw it after the PLQ. Obviously, this last week, or these last 2 weeks of Division A, but specifically this last week of Division A, kind of goes to show that there are no runaway teams. There are no freebies as well, though, which is, you know, a really fun polarity kind of set up, and why my predictions have not been great. They've been fun, though. I will say, you know, as bad as my predictions have been as far as the results, very few of my lost predictions were on blowouts. They were all very close games. So we kind of had some spicy picks thrown in there. Hopefully Division B will be more favorable to us. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the COD Gamepedia content staff and a couple other prominent members of the community do predictions, and they kind of pull them together. You boys currently in last. I know, it feels bad. I need you guys to help me out here a little bit, I guess. It's just been really funny because I've been looking at stats on one end and be like, all right, and stats alone, this team should dominate, and they end up not. And then my gut feeling is, well, this team's starting to play better. Maybe they'll be able to do this, and then they beef again. So not really finding the right luck of the draw so far, friends. We'll bounce back. I promise you we'll bounce back. Coming up later this weekend, we've got the Week 3 setup going down with Division B. I will also be doing an updated power rankings every single week, so expect that to hit sometime on Saturday or Sunday. Most likely Sunday, as I've got some things to take care of both tomorrow and on Saturday. If you want to catch me casting, by the way, one last selfless plug. I did just post my talent reel up, just kind of as a little bit of an insight. I'm usually pretty self-conscious about that, but I felt like it was time. I am doing EU Contenders trials for Overwatch. If you're interested in that, you can check that on the Contenders Overwatch official channel. And besides that, make sure you follow me on Twitter, you know, all the good stuff. It's been good having you guys throughout this week. I hope you guys have enjoyed the games. Let me know in the comments below how silly and stupid my predictions are and what you would love to see in the future from this channel. It's been a pleasure. Hope you guys had a wonderful Valentine's Day. I'm not wearing pink, so I'm actually also kind of watching the Overwatch League stuff, so, you know, I got to keep my eyes in all directions. I'm going way too long with this recap ending, so let's go ahead and end it. Until next time, hope you keep holding it down. Later. Bye-bye.